Anyway, I made a list yesterday. You keep getting me off plan. I made a plan. I make lists. I have a 10 lists. I have 10. So I was looking and I thought I haven't done anything like this yet. And we talked a little bit about Transport Fever 3 for next year, but we haven't done anything like this. So I decided to write, and I know like I could probably go on and make a list of 30, but I did sort of the first 10 things that popped into my head. So it's like my top 10 things I would like to see in Transport Fever 2, if you must. Did you sign up to the closed beta? Yes, I did. And I also cheekily tweeted them as well. I said, look, man, look at the tube. Look at me. I'm on the up and up. Give me it now. I didn't really, I did like a public begging. Anyway, so I'm gonna roll back to like what I was saying. My top 10 things I want in Transport Fever 3. Cat behind me. What's he doing? Can you sit down? Sit down. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. I love the fact, like, YouTube is the most random thing for people with different names to what their names are. I had a person yesterday comment on one of my videos, members only. There's a member, and I thought, hey, is that a new member, or do I know that person? And then it wasn't in the members list, so it's quite clear that people have display names and account names, and then their names are different in Discord. Again, it's wild out there. Right, anyway, here we go. My top 10 things I want in Transport Fever 3. All right? Okay? And these are like things I think that are important, things that maybe directly affect me. And then I had a little think after the list and I went, there's a lot more that I would like. I haven't even touched on roads or cars, which is going to be something that everybody kicks off about, I think, when I sort of edit this down, maybe. If I do, I might do it later. But like, I just didn't get that far, and I had to fit 10 things that really direct affect me and what I do with the game. So speed limits. Speed limits need to be a thing in Transport Fever 3. They really do need to be a thing. I think they need to be in the form of not really tracks. I think, the only way that she's be able to do it is with it now is doing it with tracks, which I don't think is a very sort of good way of doing it. I think it needs to be in the form of signals or some sort of waypoint asset, which could also be modified for modders then, because they can change it up. But so a waypoint asset sets the speed for anything in front of it until it hits another one that changes that speed, etc. I think that's really important. I think it'd be nice because I think you can arrange your railways a little bit more, sort it out, set speed limits to certain areas, high density areas, etc. Slow down the traffic, speed up the traffic, etc., etc. I think just making a railway, so if they built a high speed, if they're going to go for two types of railway again, like a high speed and then a low speed wooden whatever, having them have a set max, or even the high speed having a set max of whatever, and then being able to roll it back. Or even being able to roll it forwards would be nice. Do you know what I mean? Like, just have it free for all and let people decide their own speeds on the track. So I think that's really important. What did I do for number 2? Better track laying. I think the way you lay tracks needs to be better. I think undulation change, height change, track like bend when you're going over bridges, just more flexibility. And the way tracks intersect, I think less like clipping. The game being intelligent enough to know that this is a signal. I don't want a great big wooden block over the track that we're merging with. Like, the signal, the switch block just doesn't need to be there. Just remove that. Just the game needs to be intelligent enough to know the glitching. And it's the same with the catenary and the overhead. Like, that needs to sort itself out as well. I want to be able to set 2 speed limits on a track, 15 in 40. Yeah, or just build it up slowly, as you come out of whatever. Having it as a waypoint and a placeable asset, I think, would make that a massive difference. Glitching. And also, I want to see, and I know there's a better word for it, banked tracks. I really want to see banked tracks. And I know there is a very long-winded professional way of saying banked tracks, but I really want be able to bank tracks. I think there's enough tilted trains out there now that we should be able to do that. Or just a bit like, a good example, Planet Coaster, you could do it like that. You could do some sort of mechanism like that where we can set the banking at a maximum, minimum around corners. especially for things like the West Coast Main Line, where they have a lot of that going on anyway. You don't like the railway junctions when you're building a hill? I mean, it's a weird one. You know, yeah, if you're coming up and it can't meet, I think the game needs to be intelligent enough to realize you want to connect that. So it should be more intelligent to not glitch it out and maybe set a level and then come down yourself. You do have to mess around with it. There are easy ways around it. But yeah, just a little bit of more intelligent trap placing, right? The next one is really important to me, and it's the terrain modeling. If you're going to introduce tunnels into a game like you did in Transport Fever 2, and when I enter a tunnel and I am in a third-person mode looking at my train, I don't want to be in space. You know, let's sort that out. Let's sort out the way the terrain breaks and the way we go underground. The whole underground model needs a rework. And the same goes for the water levels as well. I think being able to set water levels a bit like you can in City Skylines, being able to set water levels, terrain levels, height maps is really important. I think that's got to be vastly improved, less glitchy, being able to go underground without it becoming clear void of nothingness. Especially when you place assets, like you've got different mods where you've got the sloped buildings that, you know, the sloped tunnels. I can't remember what they're called now. The sloped tunnels that go down. Sometimes they can glitch out and literally you can just see the void of nothingness. The lost void of Transport Fever 2 trains to nowhere underneath there. You know what I mean? That needs sorting. Definitely. Airports. Airports need a big rework. I always feel, and I've said this a million times during live streams and during recordings, I always feel like airports in Transport Fever 2 feel like an afterthought. I feel like the whole mechanism of the airports feels like an afterthought. The whole airport building, just everything about it just feels like an afterthought. It feels like, oh, and we need planes. That'll do. That's what it feels like to me. It's always felt like that to me. I think the way you build airports in Transport Fever 2 needs to be more customizable. It needs to be, you need to be able to make your own taxiways, build your airports, give you the flexibility to do that, and make an airport great. You know, being able to add terminals, extend on an airport, just build it out, make it the way you want. Go crazy. Nearly 40 minutes in and we are still waffling. Hey, this is important code. This is important business we're talking about here. I know Megalomaniac is a big map size, but I still run out of space when I want to make an extremely long distance north to south map. And especially and I've found the limitations with the UK inspired rail network. I'd like to go higher than Birmingham. No more space, no more room. Two things need to happen. Your starting build needs to be able to be bigger. I think enabling people to do what they want on the map scheme, and this seems to be an ongoing theme with games, and I'm not sure if game developers, it's the same with City Skylines, it was the same with SimCity back in the day. I'm not sure if game developers on games like these are afraid that they're gonna run into problems with people's performance and people moaning that they can't run a game because they make a map too big, when in reality what should be happening is you can make a map that big at your own risk, and they need to make that clear. So if I want to ram the hell out of my PC and push its limits by making a map bigger, then that's all on me, and I accept that. I also want the ability, and it's something that you should be able to do. When I've started my game, I want the ability to make my map bigger while I'm in game. So purchase land, do it something like that, extend it, you know, something like that, especially in custom builds. So in custom builds is fine. I could be able to just add another little bit to the right, to the left, and build it out like that. There should be a straight up 1-1 option. Yes, as well. Yeah, definitely. But I should be able to just, in game, I think it's City Skylines, just buy land. Or not buy it, or just extend it, whatever. Or it could be a reward. It can be a reward for reaching milestones. You can build it out. And that should be a big difference to what you're starting is. The big difference, I want a big upgrade from that in extended the map size. And again, it's on you. It's on you. If your system can't handle it, then that's fine. You don't have to do it like that, but give the option to people that want to push it. So you want City Skylines? No, because I don't want the intricacies of City Skylines. No, but I just want that option. I want to be able to make massive railways, bro. I don't want the intricacies of City Skylines. City Skylines is a city manager. single city manager, and it's got a lot of intricacies within that ecosystem. Curvy stations, that's my point, I think, coming up. Off-road routes as well, especially for planes. If it's just planes, that's fine. Planes and trains, off-road routes, I think is really important. I think having off-map routes, so planes being able to leave and bring people in and out, etc. I think is really cool. That's a sort of basic ask. That's not that high up my list, to be honest, but it just popped in there as I was writing it, so I added it. You know what I meant, though? Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I really struggle. So, you know, when I'm thinking of things I want when you're playing it, I know exactly what you mean, and I do know what you mean. Like, I do, like, I'm like, hang on a minute. Are we going there? No, because that's not what I want, because it's a transport game, not you know, it's not a city simulation, so I have to be careful. I think there's a fine line, right? Better AI overall. I think better AI. I think I've said this on a couple of live streams now and in a couple of recordings. If I do a north to south route, especially if I do like a Caledonian sleeper or a high-speed train or something like that, the plebs, regardless, if it's a train that only reaches 50 mile an hour to 320 mile an hour, regardless, there should be a bigger demand for your plebs to want to travel north to south of the map, because there are more. Like, there's not enough. Like, you get trains go from north to south, like direct routes, empty. Like, that's not realistic. Like, people do travel, and they will travel regardless of the time it takes. Not as much, not as busy as, you know, closest routes, but it does happen. And that needs to be improved. The AI, in terms of where people want to travel and where they're willing to travel, needs to be improved for me. Sometimes I make these really lovely tracks and they end up empty. And you know, I want to do it without manipulation, if that makes sense. Like, without putting pleb magnets down and things like that. Without manipulation, people should be willing to travel further. I want loads more cargo options. Loads more cargo options. If I'm going to make a really highly industrial rail network and have everything to replicate or what we would like to see in real life, I want to see things like where we've got mods with the paper. I want to see things like that in game. I want to see, if you're going to have wood as a supply chain, I want multiple offshoots that wood can create. So paper, maybe newspaper place or something like that. Lots of different things. Food options as well. Having, you know, just food. No, let's have food that goes to supermarkets and then all sorts. Do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. Let's have a bigger supply chain and different types of food maybe being done. You know, like, let's have cattle farms, things like that. All right, sheep, whatever. And then wool. We could even have wool with the sheep. So a sheep, you know, a sheep farm or a farm could deliver wool. And, it could be upgradable, the farm, from cows, sheep, etc., etc., etc. It can go out like that. Just a big mix up and more variety. And I want to see mail, parcels and things like that as well within the game. I think that's really cool. Just more diverse stuff. And my last, I think it's my last thing. I want better customizations of the stations. I want them to take a look at the freestyle station mod and use that as an example and as a base. And by no means I want it like that, because that could be, you know, that mod's built to the limitations of the game. We're moving out to freestyle stations like that and build them out and build them as big as you want, with curves, and being able to point the ends of our stations just to create a better visually just make it a better experience as well, and being able to create different lengths, I think would be awesome. I think, you know, a whole reworking of how the stations are built, no limitations. Let me build a massive stations again without having to introduce mods to make it bigger. Just, you know, let's have some fun with this game. Let's make it cool. You know, you see what people like, and the list was really interesting because you could tell that they're taking a look at what people write in forums. They're taking a look at the mods and what people want, because the list, you know, when you did your top, you know, what you want to see more in Transport Fever 2, what you'd free and what you'd like to see more, the list that they put on for you to do is, like, you know, it's really interesting. You could tell they've actually looked at the community, and they do look and they do read, which was cool. That's one thing I took away from that list anyway. So let's make these stations great again. All right, let's have it good. And that's it really. I probably could go on and on. I know there's things that you guys would probably want. Oh, look, my laughing face. Why did you have to say it like that? What? Let's make Transport Fever great again. Because why not? Clickbait, innit?